Whether you want to admit it or not, we've all probably experienced that horrifying feeling of walking into the kitchen to rinse out some dishes in the sink, and what do you see around the faucet but some ants? It's a terrible thing to have to face, and it can make you feel kind of unclean to admit that there might be bugs in your home. But luckily for us, Eric Gardner at Volunteer Rid of Pest is here to say, do not worry, it might not be your fault. And number two, he can help you solve it. So good to see you this morning, Eric.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Am I right to start off with the ants? Do we see them more in the summertime? Because it seems like they can be a real nuisance this year.
Yeah, the ants are present all year round, but they do reach their peak population in the summer months. So we get a lot of phone calls about ants this time of year.
Do you see them in the sink area because the water attracts them? Is that the issue?
Yeah, that's typically it. A lot of times there's food particles that are either in the sink or down in the drain, or there might be a little drip at the faucet, or might be a little standing water left. So that's typically where we'll see them.
So was I right or wrong to say it might not be that the homeowner is doing anything wrong? It's just that nature's going to find a way to come in.
Yeah, ants are really good at finding food. Even though you clean up after you eat, many times you're going to leave little, even minuscule crumbs, and that's plenty of food for an ant.
Okay, so before we move on to the next one, if you're seeing ants at the house and people call you, what will you do? Come out and first do an assessment to see what kind of ant it is? Does that matter?
Yeah. Yes, we inspect. We try to identify what type of ant it is, because the treatments can vary. And then we try to look for the source. If we can find an ant hill or something, we treat it, but we want to just create a barrier around the exterior of the house, and then we want to use some bait inside the house so that we're not applying, pesticides just randomly inside the house. We want to be targeted with what we do.
Okay.
And we use a gel bait that works really well.
Okay, you want to have the inside clean, but you want the kids to be able to go outside. A lot of us want to enjoy the outdoors. Wasps can be a real issue. I know at our old house especially, we used to see them all the time. We had a deck. Are they liking the wood?
Yeah, they like to build their nest in sheltered areas, so a lot of times under the deck, it gives them some degree of shelter under the eaves and overhangs. In heavily foliaged trees, just anything to protect them from the rain somewhat. Their nests are pretty durable, but they do like a little protection. And typically we get calls in April and May about stinging insects, but they really increase in July, August, September, because their population's been growing all summer. The nest that started out small now might have 20 or to 40 wasps on it, or hundreds of hornets in a nest. So this is the time of year we get a lot of calls about stinging insects.
So if you're seeing a nest, you can go ahead and have it treated. Then will there be a way to prevent it for the next season, or does that have to be done closer to the start of the season?
We haven't really found any way to prevent them from building other than just treating them. If we treat the house on a regular basis, we're going to catch it when they first start in April, when there's only a few insects on it, and can prevent it from ever getting large. But
okay.
Once they get large, about all you can do is go treat it and then tear it down if it's where we can reach it.
Okay, as long as we're talking crawly things, what about spiders?
We get a lot of calls about spiders. Again, they start out early in the year. There's quite a few of them, but as the summer goes on, the population grows and grows and grows, and you're going to have a huge number of spiders in the later summer, early fall. Now, once it turns winter, they'll go dormant, and some will die. Their lifespan, it depends on the spider, some longer than others, usually just a few months for the adults. But right now, we've got more spiders than we did 6 months ago.
I want to hit about mice and about fungus, but before we get to those with the couple of minutes I have left, I'm sure there are people who are watching who are thinking, yeah, but these are part of nature, so you don't want to get rid of them. Is part of what you do, Eric, to treat the perimeter of the yard too, and that way they can live in their space? They just don't want to come into yours?
Yeah, well, typically what we'll do with most insects, we just want to treat around the perimeter of the house. So we kind of believe, let them have the yard, and we'll keep them out of the house. Now,
okay.
Some people want their entire yard treated. They just don't want to see any, and in that case, we can do that. But we try to be targeted with what we do. There are beneficial insects that we don't want to harm.
Okay.
And believe it or not, being in this business, I don't take any pleasure out of killing God's creatures, but we do want to protect our customers' homes and properties and their families, so there is a fine line.
Okay, before I let you run, I only have time for one more. So can we touch on fungus? We've had an awful lot of rain lately. Does that add to the problem?
Yeah, here in the southeastern United States, one of the most wet, moist places on earth is the crawl space. And most people never go in their crawl space. So we recommend having it inspected. If you want to do it yourself, you can crawl under there, get a bright flashlight, some coveralls, and just look to see if the wood looks healthy. You know what a healthy 2x4 should look like. If yours is gray or brown or has chunks falling out of it or has, white powdery fungus on it, you need to give us a call and let us come out and take a look at it. If you want us to come take a look, there's no charge. We'll come out, do an assessment, we'll take moisture readings, and give you an honest appraisal of what's going on with your crawl space.
All right, Eric, a great conversation. Thank you so much for your time this morning. He can make your house be the lovely place you deserve it to be. Volunteer Rid of Pest, volpest.com is the website. Locations in Chattanooga and Cleveland. We're back after this.